I have to ask you about I was kind of amazed by the response from the White House quite quickly after this came out. Obviously, the president knew about this, so they might have had a response ready. Today's charges include no allegations of knowing involvement by anyone on the campaign and no allegations that the alleged hacking affected the election result. I mean, Tom, does it strike you as strange that in the face of 12 indictments, that the White House's response is, well, it wasn't us?
Well, it's long since time for Donald Trump to stop calling this a witch hunt. This is not a witch hunt. These are the facts. The fact is that the DNC was hacked, but more importantly, our democracy was attacked. What we saw in today's indictments, Allie, the effort to go after secretaries of state, boards of elections. The indictment alleges that there was an attack on one board of election, and they got information on roughly 500,000 voters. This is an act of war, Allie, and what we should be doing here right now, we should have all hands on deck on the issue of cybersecurity and election security. And instead, what we have with Republicans is they're going after these unlawful voter purges. They pass these unconscionable voter ID laws that are solutions in search of a problem. This and the statements today, what's remarkable to me, and I think it bears repeating, is that Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein acknowledged that he briefed the president before he left for Europe. So the president knew that these indictments were coming.
And yet he still made witch hunt references.
Right-hand people were being charged by a federal grand jury, and yet he continues to talk about this as a witch hunt. This isn't a witch hunt. This is an attack on our democracy.
And ultimately, the failure to understand the difference between the attack on democracy and the suggestion that Donald Trump wouldn't have won the election otherwise, that's a separate discussion. It may be true that Donald Trump wouldn't have won the election without Russian interference, but that's not actually at the heart of the issue here. The issue is that somebody was meddling with our elections.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.